I've been wondering, why is it that the wealthiest 1% of people keep growing their wealth at the expense of the 99%? Is this a conspiracy, or is there something more to it? Have you ever seen articles like this? Top 1% in US now have more wealth than entire middle class combined. Or articles like this, richest 1% of people own nearly half of global wealth, says report. I think it's a fair statement to say that the wealthy indeed have influence, not just in finance, but over people in general. And even what they say through their deep network of influences can leave us with a lasting impression. I've found that the biggest barrier to us growing our wealth is actually ourselves. So how can we turn the tables around? I believe that this subject could easily be underestimated, whereas in fact getting the mastery over it can have a huge impact to your financial wealth. At least it has been from my experience. It can help you recognize when you're being programmed, aka manipulated, and help steer you in a direction where the financial opportunities actually are, so that you can put yourself in a position where you want to be. Once we unmask some of the common traps, you'll totally relate to this subject if you're not already familiar with it. And then we'll look to see how we can use misinformation to be able to drill down to where perhaps the best opportunities may be. Now, you may see yourself as a free and open thinker, being able to create your own destiny for yourself, and you'd be right. However, our decisions that we make are based on our perceptions, and our perceptions are based on our environment. The things that we take in, all the things that we see, the things that we hear, even the things that we are taught, whether it be conscious or subconscious, can all affect our decision-making process. This reminds me of a proverb that says, "Show me who your friends are, and I'll tell you what sort of person you are." We are all at least partially affected by our environment. Just like a plant, it'll either flourish or die based on its environment. The good thing is though, unlike a plant, we can choose our environment. But when it comes to investing, what are some common ways that our perceptions can get skewed? Let's have a look at these. We may chase an investment opportunity based on what a celebrity or a social media influencer says has been a great idea for them. Now the perception here is that they have contacts in high places and they have a lot of money. So if we were to follow them, then we might get wealthy like them. The other thing is that we may chase what's most talked about. The perception here is that if everybody's talking about it, then it's probably true. So I'll follow that investment opportunity as well. We may chase an investment opportunity because the mainstream media have painted it in a positive light. The perception here is that if all the channels are saying the same thing, then it must be true. Then perhaps I should follow suit and actually get invested in that as well. We may also chase an investment opportunity that's being validated for us. We may have looked at a particular investment opportunity but not really acted on it. And later on, when our friends or family talk about it, we may think, oh darn, I should have invested in that. It's not too late to get in. I'll get in now. Have you ever heard the word decoy? We may have a tendency to chase a financial product because it's the first to move up amongst its peers in price. The perception is because it's the first that it's possibly the best. And I often think of Bitcoin and Ethereum in this regard. It certainly gets a lot of media attention, and they're the first two generally to move up in price relative to their peers. But it doesn't mean that they'll be the best cryptocurrencies to be involved with in the long term. We may have a tendency to only invest in traditional financial products, those products that have worked for us so far. The perception may be that it's too scary to go anywhere else, or just too risky. And this may be true for some people, but just imagine if you didn't get involved in those internet companies of the late 90s. Imagine some of the gains you may have missed out on. Or perhaps now with the cryptocurrency asset class, where lots of money is being made and will continue to be made. Imagine not having a small portion, at least, of our funds invested in that sector too. It's worth considering. Speaking of cryptocurrencies, you may be aware that I'm extremely bullish on the sector. However, I am very skeptical on the longevity of over 90% of the projects that are out there. So if you're hesitant, I can totally relate to that. There are, however, a small group of cryptocurrencies that are already changing our financial infrastructure and will continue to do so. If you'd like to know which cryptocurrencies these ones are and how to invest in them, then I'll put a link in my description below. It's entitled Select the Right Cryptos, 7 Important Factors. I'd like to highlight a real-life example of how our perceptions may have gotten skewed and stopped us from taking a lucrative financial position. And this one has to do with a guy by the name of Jamie Dimon. Who can forget Jamie Dimon? Now, Jamie Dimon is the head of JP Morgan, a large global financial services company. Now, what he has to say, you would think is important, right? After all, they have many wealthy clients. Well, notice what was published about what he had just said in September of 2017. The article was entitled Bitcoin, a fraud that will blow up according to JP Morgan Chase boss. That same article, he goes on to say there have been grim warnings from people in the know, specifically from JP Morgan Chief Executive Jamie Dimon. He told a New York investor conference that Bitcoin was a fraud and will eventually blow up. Mr. Dimon said if any of his traders were found trading Bitcoin, he would fire them in a second. And that currency was worse than tulip bulbs, referring to a famous market bubble from the 1600s. Now, in a more recent article on the same subject, notice what JP Morgan is actually getting involved in. It says here, JP Morgan offers in-house Bitcoin fund to wealthy clients. The same article later relates, advisors will present the fund to clients as being the safest and cheapest Bitcoin investment vehicle available on the private markets. And later on, it says, Dimon has presented his skepticism regarding digital assets and the crypto market. In May, he stated, I am not a Bitcoin supporter. I don't really care about Bitcoin. But on the other hand, and notice the punchline, clients are interested and I don't tell clients what to do. Boy, I wonder if he was true to his word and fired those traders that bought Bitcoin in a second. So what's happened to the Bitcoin price since September of 2017 until now? Well, it's gone from about $3,100 to now almost hitting $57,000. That's an increase of about 1,800%. I guess the lesson here is that we should listen to what people say, but look to find out what they're actually doing. I'd like to highlight one more example of how our perceptions may have clouded our thinking and stopped us from investing in a company that was tiny and yet today is a very large profitable company. And this has to do with the company Amazon. Notice just 5 years after having started that company, notice what Jeff Bezos said about it in 1999. An article from the BBC News quoting Jeff Bezos said, there are no guarantees that Amazon.com can be a successful company. What we are trying to do is very complicated. Have a look at the stock price of Amazon from 1999. If what Jeff Bezos had to say left a lingering bad taste in your mouth over the coming years, you could have been forgiven, because for the next 10 years the stock price was lingering. But just like most things, they change over time, and the stock price went from $60 in the mid-1990s to now being worth, according to this chart, about $3,500. That's a 5,900% increase. If you had a $10,000 investment, it would now be worth $590,000. I guess the point here being that as the world changes, then we need to change also if we expect to benefit financially from it. So what are some healthy thought processes we could go through, particularly when presented with emotional situations? Be conscious of the message you are being sold. Am I being pushed to do something I would not normally do? What would happen if I did the opposite to what I'm encouraged to do? What would be the worst case situation for me then? Listen to the arguments of those who have an opposing view, then decide for yourself what action to take. Trust your research. Dig a little deeper to find out what may be closer to the truth. The full truth may never be found, but at least you can get closer. Am I still unclear on what to do? Well, then perhaps doing nothing is best. Remember that only with true financial sovereignty can we gain independence. Your sovereignty and my sovereignty is being challenged. Money is only a tool. It can take you wherever you wish, but it will never replace you as its driver.